Good afternoon. It's an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to be with you once again. This is my first time at this particular program, but I've worked with the organization for quite some time, and it's been a lot of there's been a lot of success stories, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be speaking once again. Thank you very much. Thank you to Mrs. Atilola and all the other facilitators, the organizers of this conference, and especially to you, distinguished participants. Look forward to having a very interactive session with you after this short speech. So thank you very much. My name is Enoch, and well, I'm going to be speaking on the topic Internet and Youth, the way forward. Just want to confirm that everyone can see my screen and you can hear me loud and clear. Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to start with a story. Okay, stories are really nice. So I'm going to tell you a story about Ethan. I made up the story anyway, so it's a fictitious story. Okay, so this is Ethan. Okay, he's your typical young guy. So I'm just going to give you a typical day in his life. We're talking about internet and youth, the way forward. Okay, so I just run through a typical day in Ethan's life. So it was a cloudy morning in March, this is 3 months ago, and Ethan is a 21-year-old student. He woke up and immediately reached for his smartphone. His alarm went off, but he snoozed this several times before finally deciding to get out of bed. He couldn't resist the temptation to check his social media notifications, and before he knew it, half an hour had passed. How many of us are like Ethan? At 9 a.m., Ethan had a class at university, but instead of being present and engaged, his mind wandered to the latest viral videos and memes he saw online earlier. He struggled to focus on the lecture and took frequent breaks to scroll through his news feed. During his lunch break, Ethan sat alone in the cafeteria while staring at his phone. He found himself comparing his life to the seemingly perfect lives of influencers and friends on social media, leaving him feeling inadequate and disconnected. Back in class at 1 p.m. for another lecture, Ethan couldn't resist checking his messages, even during important discussions and group projects. I wonder if some of us are doing the exact same thing right now, even though it's 3:30 p.m. After his classes at 4 p.m., Ethan returned to his apartment, intending to study and complete his assignments. However, he was quickly sucked into the endless loop of YouTube videos, wasting precious hours on mindless content. At 6 p.m., Ethan's roommates invited him to join them for dinner, but he declined, preferring to order food delivery online while watching more videos. His isolation and lack of physical activity were becoming apparent to those around him. At 8 p.m., realizing he had spent hours on the internet without accomplishing anything substantial, Ethan felt a sense of guilt and frustration. He decided to take a break and go for a walk outside to clear his mind. Upon returning home at 9 p.m., Ethan attempted to study again, but the pull of the internet was too strong. He turned on his computer, planning to work on an assignment, as we can see him, but ended up aimlessly browsing the web. As bedtime approached, Ethan brought his phone to bed with him again. Unable to detach from the digital world, he scrolled through social media, watching the minutes turn into hours. Finally, at 1 a.m., exhausted, Ethan finally put his phone down and tried to sleep. However, the stimulating effects of the internet kept his mind active, making it difficult to fall asleep. How many Ethans are here? Once in a while, I behave like Ethan too, right? So this is called internet addiction. What we're seeing on the screen right now is normal. It's something that we have all grown accustomed to, especially as young people. Okay, so let's try a different approach. Let's meet Emily. Emily, It was a sunny morning and Emily, a 21-year-old college student, woke up in her apartment near her university campus. With a major in journalism, she had a passion for storytelling and digital media. At 8 a.m., Emily's alarm clock buzzed and she hit the snooze button once before finally getting out of bed. She probably slept early, that's why. She checked her phone for any urgent messages and notifications from family members and close friends. She had disabled social media feeds and she did not bother checking trends on Twitter. After freshening up, Emily brewed herself a cup of coffee and prepared a quick breakfast of toast and scrambled eggs. She checked the news headlines on her laptop as she ate, staying updated on current events. At 9 a.m., Emily attended her morning classes at the university. As she walked to campus, she listened to her favorite podcast, Serial, for some entertainment and inspiration. During her lunch break, Emily met up with her friends at a popular food truck gathering on campus. They enjoyed a variety of cuisines while sharing stories and laughter. Back in class, Emily participated in a workshop on multimedia journalism. She and her classmates discussed using video, photography, and social media to tell compelling stories. At 4 p.m., after her classes, Emily headed to a part-time job at a local news website. She worked as a digital content intern, writing articles and creating engaging social media posts. Emily finished her workday at 6:30 p.m. and decided to go for a run in the nearby park to unwind. Exercise was essential to her daily routine, helping us stay focused and energized. At 7:30 p.m., returning home, Emily cooked dinner while listening to her Discover Weekly playlist on Spotify. She often enjoyed trying out new recipes found on food blogs. At 8:30 p.m., Emily sat down to work on her personal blog, where she shared her thoughts on various topics, including college life, pop culture, and social issues. She enjoyed connecting with her readers and encouraging thoughtful discussions. At 11:30 p.m., before going to bed, Emily spent some time browsing Instagram, sharing posts about her day and engaging with her followers. She set her alarm for the next morning and settled into bed with a book, finding solace in reading before falling asleep. So Emily's life was a balance of academics, work, social interactions, and digital media engagement. She used technology to stay connected, informed, and creatively express herself through blogging and social media, all the while pursuing her passion for journalism and storytelling. Okay. So, as we've seen in the case of Ethan, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Without purpose, activity has no meaning, and time and energy are most definitely misused. So there are a lot of Ethans among us, lots and lots and lots of Ethans among us. And the reason why there are Ethans among us is because many of us have not sat back to understand what the internet is and why it was created. So I'm just going to run us through what the internet is so that we can reorient ourselves. I mean, a couple of people know, but maybe they've not taken that time to be intentional about what they know. So I'm just going to run through it again. Okay. So the internet, what is it? What really is the internet? Okay. I don't know if you know a bit about me. I'm in tech. I've been in tech for decades. I started tech when I was pretty young. So I have quite a bit of knowledge about internet, technology, and all of that. So in general terms, the internet is a network of devices that have computational power. Okay. The internet is not just social media. It's not just the World Wide Web. The internet is actually a network of devices that have computational power. When you look at it like that, you begin to get a sense, okay, what were these devices made for? What are they supposed to accomplish? What are they supposed to do? Okay. One other thing about the internet is that most people today have access, or most people today access the internet through mobile devices or with mobile devices. So why was the internet created? Why was it created? Okay. So the internet is a product of information and communication technology, which was intended, or which is intended, to provide the right amount of information needed by people in various formats in a timely manner. This is what the internet is for, right? This is what it was created for, right? Now, the issue is when something is created, there are unintended consequences. So the internet was created by scientists and engineers, and it was intended at the beginning to share information. So what are these things that the internet has brought? Okay. Whenever there's an invention like the internet, the internet is not the only kind of invention that has changed the world. There are various inventions that have changed the world. One of those kinds of inventions that is slightly similar to the internet is the invention of the printing press in the 1500s. Okay, for the first time, people were able to print, and we didn't have to rely on copywriters or scribes to basically duplicate your work. Another such invention was the steam engine. Okay, the internet is much more. The capacity of the internet is much more than these two previous inventions that I just talked about. It is the impact has been far greater than even the people that created it thought about when they created it. Okay, so the things that the internet has brought. So let's start from its inception. The internet was used for communication, right? It was just a way to send messages from one person to another. Okay, this communication then gradually gave rise to collaboration among scientists, engineers, and other professionals, especially in time-sensitive industries like the military, like top tech. Mostly scientists and engineers were people that were using this communication tool. Okay, I remember back in the 90s. I'm not that old anyway. I was a very young. I was a young person. I was a very small boy. Remember, I was privileged. My parents were one of the first around to have access to the internet, and so the internet was basically for communication at that time. It was all about email, and the World Wide Web has just it has started a few years earlier, and the World Wide Web moved the bar from just collaboration by emails to curation as the internet began to host massive repositories of information. So before, you had to go to a library to get information. Now you needed to move from your room. You could access information. At the beginning, you had to pay for information. You had to be part of groups that could access that information. But as search engines began to rise in popularity, most of that information was now within reach. Okay, so now realize that the internet is communication, collaboration, and now curation. So what do I mean by curation? Now you can take ideas from all around the world, right, and synthesize it into something that is useful for you. Okay, so you begin to get a sense of what the internet was for. It's really information, communication, technology. What am I supposed to do with information? Okay, what am I supposed to do with information? That's the real or the initial purpose for the internet. Okay, now with social networks based on the internet, connections and communities that for millennia had existed only through physical meetings now started to be digitally assisted. For example, right now, I'm speaking to you over the internet. Today, millions of communities and connections are with people we do not know or have never met. Many of us have connections with people on LinkedIn, on Facebook that we've never met, but they are our friends. Friends in inverted commas, because how are you friends with someone you've never met? But in Facebook, everybody is a friend, okay? Now, the internet has gone beyond that. Technology has gone beyond that. With artificial intelligence today, through large language models and generative pre-training transformers, GPTs, I'm sure some of us have heard of ChatGPT, that's the GPT there. We now have a spectrum of communication, connection, and collaboration with robots rather than human beings. So we started with people communicating with themselves, and then people forming communities with people they didn't know physically, or they never met physically. Now we've moved from that to communication, connections, and collaborations with robots rather than human beings. So some of your friends on Facebook are not human beings. Some of your friends on TikTok are not human beings. Some of your friends on LinkedIn may not be human beings. They may be robots. Right? That's the spectre. That's the age we live in. We are now in the age of AI, right? The age of artificial intelligence. This is where we are today. So this internet and the use has gone beyond what we used to have even 3 years ago. 3 years ago, artificial intelligence, there was artificial intelligence. I mean, there's been some kind of artificial intelligence. Even when I was in university, I did some work on artificial intelligence, lots and lots of equations, lots and lots of algorithms and stuff like that. There were expert systems. I'm into computing, and I'm an engineer. So 20 years ago, 15 years ago, there's been talk of expert systems and things like that. In fact, there's been some artificial intelligence to some extent, right? But now, with the rise of GPTs like ChatGPT, OpenAI, it's now mainstream. We are now in the age of AI, of artificial intelligence. Okay? I like this quote from Herbert Simon. He says, in an information-rich world, the wealth of information means a dearth of something else, a scarcity of whatever it is that information consumes. What information consumes is rather obvious. It consumes the attention of its recipients. Hence, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention and a need to allocate that attention efficiently among the overabundance of information sources that might consume it. Herbert Simon made this quote. He's a psychologist, he's an economist, and a Nobeler, so he knows what he's talking about. So he coined what we now know today as the attention economy. In other words, if you studied it, you understood it, but now we now know for certain that information consumes attention. Information consumes attention. So this is what is happening now. And we really need to understand this to begin to get a sense of what the internet is, to begin to get a sense of the power of information. So information is not just something you consume as a human being. Information consumes you. Let me repeat. That thing you are learning is doing something to you. It's also consuming you. You are consuming the information, but the information is consuming your attention. As my father says, your time is your life. Your time is your life. So guess what? You know, some of us might have watched dystopian movies where the robots take over everything and begin to run society, and human beings are now slaves. I mean, that might be stretching it a bit, but the fundamental truth is that you see those robots I'm talking about, this guy right here is consuming us. He's growing intelligence at our own expense. He's learning from you spending your time on the internet. So there's this back and forth. At the minimum, or at best, for people who are using the internet the right way, you're at least gaining something out of it, something that is productive. But if you are not gaining something productive, what has happened? You have taken a slice of your life and handed it over to this guy. And he's not a human being. He is a robot. He now has a part of your own intelligence, a slice of your life is inside his brain. Again, information consumes attention. Any kind of information. From your in fact, this is true of information, whether it is information on the internet or information elsewhere, right? For example, I used to, years ago, in speaking to young people, I used to tell them, if there's a scene, maybe in a crowded place or on the road or something, if you cannot do something about that scene, just pass by. Because that scene, that event, what is taking place, is an event. By staying there, you are consuming some information. But guess what? That event is also consuming your life. The amount of time you spend looking at something that is worthless is the amount of your life that you have wasted. It's like, for want of words, you've taken a part of you, maybe your finger, and cut it up and thrown it away. Because your life is finite. 24 hours that you have, you cannot get 1 second extra. Once the 24 hours is done, it's gone, and it's gone forever. So what you are supposed to be doing is trying to exchange that piece of your life, that's your time, exchange it for something useful. Even if it is entertainment, you must be sure that you are exchanging the time, because that entertainment is consuming a part of your life. You have to be sure that the entertainment is either helping you to relax, helping you to be a better person, calming you down. For years, I mean, I'm sure some people maybe they gain something out of it. I will not watch a horror movie because I'm making myself, why do I want to make myself scared? Why? I don't need, I mean, I'm scared enough of things. I have enough fear in my life. I don't want to introduce extra fear into my life. So why would I watch a horror movie? I guess some people might like it for the adrenaline rush or something. So maybe if you are entirely flaccid and you want to maybe stimulate yourself, maybe. But you have to understand that even entertainment consumes a part of your life. Okay? So this is extremely important. Now, we've been dealing with for want of words, the effects or the unintended consequences, maybe not completely unintended, of the internet. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple of concepts that we need, right? I mean, it's not just enough for me to tell you that the internet does this, there's this. It's not enough for me to just give you information. I must give you tools to be able to deal with that. So we're going to look through a couple of things. The first thing I want to talk about is digital literacy and critical thinking. Digital literacy and critical thinking. Okay. The internet is a vast sea of information. I mean, when we hear about digital literacy is not just how to use the internet or how to use a computer or how to type. I mean, when we're growing up, I mean, we used to have this typing tutor and stuff like that with nice, it was gamified, right? And then you learn how to type and all of that. It's not just that. It's not just knowing how to switch on a computer and how to send an email or all of that. Most of us we have that kind of digital literacy, but digital literacy is slightly different. Okay. Digital literacy is part and parcel of critical thinking, is critical thinking for digital sources of information. Okay. You must know how to evaluate sources. So before, many of us just say, I mean, it's a bit common with people who don't know very much about the internet. Whatever they see, once the information is there, they just think it's true. But there are a lot of lies on the internet. Okay, I mean, we've heard about fake news, right? So you must learn how to evaluate the sources of information. Is this person credible? You must learn to fact check information, right? Check other sources. So, for example, if you hear that something has happened, is this the only person saying it, or there are other credible news sources? But nowadays, many times, even the news sources that we consume, that we think are credible, they get their information from social media too, or from those sources that we are seeing. So another skill that we need to develop is how to critically analyze the content of the information that we encounter. Right? This has become a necessity because, remember, information consumes you. Now, you are supposed to consume the information and do something with it. But what if the information is actually misinformation, is actually a lie? That means you just lost a lie, just consumed your time, and you got nothing out of it. It's just that our robot friend that got something off you, right? He just got something off you, but you didn't get anything. In fact, not only did you not get anything, you got something bad. So you are now infected with a quote unquote a virus. You are infected with a lie that you think is the truth. Now, the problem is that when you repeat that lie, just in case you are a natural, maybe you are not a liar, and your friends know you that you are not a liar. Now, your friends know you are not a liar, but you consumed a lie, right? It means that you're now telling a lie sincerely as if it is the truth. Now, we see how misinformation spreads. Now, someone who knows that you don't lie, he will say, for example, James or Emily or Ethan. Ethan told me this, or Ethan does not lie. I know he's a very good guy. He doesn't lie. And he told me this. I'm sure it's true. But they don't realize that Ethan is actually misinformed. So not only do you have to critically analyze who or evaluate your sources, you have to critically analyze the content of what you are hearing. It might be, maybe the person that said it is a sincere person, is a good quote unquote person. But does this thing make sense? You have to understand logic. I mean, in university, we had to take a course in philosophy and logic. You had to understand how to critically analyze that information. There are things like the laws of non-contradiction. Two contradictory statements cannot be true at the same time in the same context. Things like that, right? You have to, it's just something before the rise of massive misinformation on the internet, you could get away with not being very good with logic. But right now, many people are not still good with logic. And because of that, there's a massive epidemic of misinformation. Massive epidemic of misinformation. Okay? Now, the next thing, now I'm just going to run through all these things because we don't have a lot of time. Run through a couple of these things so that we cannot, the internet is vast. It has a lot of potential. It has a lot of issues. And I'll just mention a couple of these issues, and then I would ask you to do some work, because I mean, you have the internet. It's not as much work as it used to be for our parents that had to go to a library. Now we have all sorts of resources. You can meet the facilitators of this conference, of this seminar, and they can help you out. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to deal with is online safety and cyber security. Online safety and cyber security. While the internet offers tremendous opportunities, it also comes with potential risks. There's cyberbullying, we have online predators, there's identity theft, and data breaches are real threats. They are now real threats. So things like you cannot just have a silly password. You have to, I mean, platforms like Google already give us things like password managers. You have to have a password manager. If you don't know what a password manager is, please, after this seminar, go online, go to Google and search for password managers. You're going to have some password managers that you can use. You see the maybe top 10, just say top 10 or the best password managers, and you get a list of password managers that you can use. A password manager is an application, a software application. Most of them there's something called mobility now, so it can work on your computer and on your phones, the same one, so that your passwords are always available to you every time. So you only need to know one password. Now you should choose a you shouldn't just use a password, you should use something called a passphrase. Okay, so for example, it might be the middle line of maybe your best song. So for example, maybe Twinkle Twinkle, I don't use Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, please, because everybody uses it, everybody knows that. But a song, maybe for example, a song in a song that maybe only you and maybe a couple of people know, or maybe just a song, right? And then come up with, then the next thing to do is to obfuscate that song. So let's say Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, you can say maybe dancing, dancing, big sun or something like that, right? Now don't use that because artificial intelligence, that robot I talked to you about is already smart. So look for something like that, right? Then use that as your passphrase instead of just looking for a password. Okay, use that as a passphrase. If you are a bit more, if you deal with a bit more information, if you are, for example, as you get out in life, you would begin to grow your career. You begin to handle sensitive information. You then have to move past the passphrase I just talked to you about. You have to then use a cipher for that passphrase. So exchange some letters with some. So for example, there are different kinds of ciphers. But once you do it, the good thing is that you only have to do it once, right? Look for something really hard and do it once. Or for example, you can just even type rubbish or generate a random, just say generate random, or just type nonsense on your keyboard with letters and numbers and symbols, and memorize just that one. Just that one. Memorize it. Make sure you memorize it completely and you never forget. Okay. Then use that as the password to your password manager, and then have your password manager create passwords for every other thing you want to use passwords for. So you only have to know one password, and because identity theft, data breaches are real threats. And forget about people, the hackers as people, we just think there are these guys, they are hackers, we venerate them like they are they are the next thing after God or something, like they are so all-knowing. But the truth is, more than 90% of data breaches are because of silly passwords. People using, for example, password as their passwords. If you are using password as your password anywhere, or you're using your first name as your password anywhere, or the names of any of your children or any of your friends, just go and change the password today. Because you see that our friend, is very easy. If I just know your Facebook profile, I'll just scrub all your friends and try all their first names as your passwords, and I'll probably get in. Okay, so don't do that. So these things are real. So digital literacy, what I just talked to you about is something that you have to learn, and you have to be intentional about it, right? The same way you're intentional about if you have money, you don't just throw your money on the streets, right? You keep it safe. Okay. As young people, each of you must be empowered with knowledge about online safety, privacy settings, cybersecurity practices like the one I just talked to you about, to protect yourself and your friends, your peers from harm. Because what usually happens is, once there's a breach in a community, the community is at risk, right? The entire community is at risk, because they can pose as someone you trust and then get you to divulge more information. Okay, so this is just a short information about online safety and cybersecurity. There's a lot more. Now, building a positive digital footprint. Now, many of us know this, but it's some work, but it's something that we have to do intentionally. In today's interconnected world, your online presence can have, and not even can, will have a lasting impact on your future. I've talked, I think my wife and I have in various fora, we've talked about people who we didn't hire, or we hired because of their social media, or in fact, because we didn't hire someone because of his display picture, right? So your online presence, there are people that we will not hire because of the way they are on Twitter. I don't want that kind of person around me. Okay. Your responsible behavior and promoting positivity on social media and other online platforms will not only benefit your own reputation, but also contribute to a healthier digital environment for everyone, especially on Twitter. It is easy to be negative. It's easy to be combative. It's easy to allow because you think you are anonymous, right? You think sometimes maybe you have a different Twitter account that is, or you think that people just some people just because you're not seeing the person you are shouting at through your keyboard, you think that you are shielded, but that's not true. That's not true. Anything you put on the internet, like I tell people, once you put it on the internet, you may never be able to remove it again for the rest of your life. It is there. So especially for young people, think before you post. Think before you press enter. You see your enter key is that enter key on your keyboard, or the send button on your phone? Train yourself to read what you just typed. Read it 3 or 4 times. Train yourself to do that before you press that send, because once you press that send, you may never be able to retrieve it. You know, some funny thing sometimes even when you think you have deleted it, you've not deleted it, right? You've not deleted it. How are you sure that there are things called internet scrubbers? So for example, these are our robot friend. There are robots that regularly scrub the internet for information. So they just scrub. Imagine the moment you posted it, just before you thought you deleted, and there are many platforms where you cannot even delete. Imagine if you just posted it and there was a scrub going on at that particular second. In fact, most likely there are scrubs going on every single time. Multiple scrubs going on at any point in time. So most likely something has taken a snapshot of what you just posted, even before you deleted it. I mean, we see that very, very often. In fact, it might not even be a robot that is doing the scrub. It might be another human being like you that has taken a screenshot. I'm sure we've all seen things on Twitter where someone posts something silly and then he deletes it, and then somebody shows him the screenshot that, sorry, I saw what you deleted, and that's the end. Right? That's the end. There's nothing you can do about it anymore. So be intentional about building a positive digital footprint. Now, balancing screen time and mental health. Talking to a robot is not the same thing as talking to a human being. Human beings, face-to-face communication helps your mental health. In fact, research has shown that a human being needs some number of touches, physical touches, a day to be normal. If you spend all your time, like Ethan, your friends asked you out to dinner, you said, no, don't worry, I'll just order something. You are playing with your mental health. The internet can be addictive, and excessive screen time has been linked to various mental health issues. Finding a balance between your online and offline activities is essential for your well-being, right? Like Emily, who had that kind of balance. We must also periodically disconnect completely from the digital world. Disconnect completely. Practice mindfulness and seek support when needed. Seek support from CIS staff, from the organizers of this conference or seminar. If you are like Ethan, seek help. It looks as if you can do it by yourself. Like, okay, just put up my phone. But it's not as easy as you think. The internet is really addictive. Your phone is addictive, right? So seek help and seek support when you need it. If you're like Ethan, you need it, seek help immediately. Tell someone about it. Tell someone you are struggling with it. In fact, just talking about it, right, already begins help. You've said something about it, okay? So talk to someone about it, and talk to someone trusted. Don't talk to your other friends who are addicted like you. They'll be like, no, it's okay now. How many hours did you spend? Right? So talk to someone, preferably someone that is older than you. Have a mentor, someone that you want to be like, that you want to become like, right? Someone that is maybe 10 years, 5 years older than you, and he's the kind of person you want to become, okay? Talk to that person about it. And you must have that kind of person, please. It's one of the things that I didn't have a lot of growing up. I was fortunate to have some of it, right? That's why I turned out better than some other of my friends, but we can do better, right? Okay, now promoting diversity and inclusivity. The internet has the power to connect people from different backgrounds and cultures. Embracing diversity and promoting inclusivity online can lead to a richer and more compassionate digital society, right? It helps. If you have experiences with people from all around the world, it helps you. In fact, it does something to your intelligence. You become more intelligent as you interact with people from different backgrounds and cultures. You actually get more intelligent, and it helps you, okay? It also helps you to interact with people from various walks of life. It helps you in solving problems, sorry. We should celebrate our differences and use technology to bridge gaps rather than widen them. Just because that person doesn't have as much money as you have, right? Or is not as well to do as you, or is from a different tribe, or he pronounces words differently. Celebrate those differences. Don't use them to mock people. It's very easy to want to mock people to prop up your own self-esteem. But realize that when you abuse someone else, it doesn't make you better. It doesn't make you better. Okay. Now use technology for positive change. We are not just passive consumers today. We are now creators and influencers. So use technology as a tool to raise awareness about social issues, support causes you care about, and advocate for positive change in your communities and beyond. Okay. I mean, we all know about Malala, right? There are lots of young people who have become icons just because they're able to use social media constructively. Constructive and respectful online activism can drive positive change and contribute to a more inclusive and democratic society. Okay, now preparing for the jobs of the future. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. Time is already fast spent. The internet has revolutionized the job markets and created numerous opportunities in tech-related fields. In fact, even all fields are now tech-related, right? Yeah. So all fields are now tech-related, right? The traditional jobs are they will not all fade away, but there'll be less people working at those traditional jobs than that used to be the case before. Because what technology does is that technology is a labor-saving device, right? So in the past, maybe even in the medical field, you needed 10 people to perform an operation or a surgery on someone. Right now, with the right kind of technology, you only need maybe 5, right? So 5 of those jobs have gone, okay? But there are other jobs that have been created in related fields, right? So there's now biomedical. In fact, while I was in the university, there was biomedical engineering, an engineer who is almost like a doctor, okay? So there are new opportunities that are being created. So embracing digital skills, coding, technology-related subjects will be critical for young people to succeed in the jobs of the future. Now, you don't have to be a software developer. You just need digital skills, just some digital skills. Just pick it up and you don't have to be a professional software developer, a professional coder. You can just take a course in just basics of coding. Just having the idea behind it is usually enough for you to understand or be able to navigate jobs of the future, okay? Now, also be intentional about looking at various. So as a young person, get on LinkedIn. Look at people. Just get on LinkedIn and look at what people are doing with their lives. Be interested in people's careers. And so you get to understand, oh, there's this new field. Oh, there's this new field. Oh, there's this new field. There's now artificial intelligence and machine learning is all the rave right now. But there are data scientists, all sorts of jobs, all sorts of careers, right? Now, there's one important one that we all need to learn is this. Do you know how to discuss with a robot? Many of us discuss with a robot. Yes, you have to learn. In fact, that is going to be one of the major digital skills that everybody needs to learn. Now, it's not, is it really, you need to understand how to discuss with a robot, right? You need to learn how to converse with artificial intelligence because it can help you. You see that our friend that is collecting parts of our lives, he has collected part of my life. He has collected part of all of us lives. So we might as well gain something from him. But you need to understand how to talk to him so that he can give you some of his wealth of information, of his wealth of experience, because a lot of all our experience are inside him already. So learn, for example, just knowing how to do this, you can just say how to use ChatGPT. after this conference, just go and search how to use ChatGPT, how to use OpenAI. Just learn. I mean, something there. So, for example, just a tidbit. You have to there's something you have to tell the robot who he is, give him a role, and then tell him to behave like a human being in that role, and then tell him how to tell you in what way for him, the way you want him to present that information. So, for example, discussing with a robot, you are a Nobel Prize winning physicist, or no, let me say economist. Or let's say you want to make more money. You are a top investment banker with Goldman Sachs. What is the latest trend in, or what is the best stock for me to pick today? Or what was the best stock to pick in 2018? Then he would assume that persona. Remember that he knows all about all those Goldman Sachs guys, right? He knows about a lot of them. So he's going to behave like them and tell you what they would have told you if you were talking to them directly, something like that. Of course, the robot lies sometimes, so you have to understand how to critical thinking. So it's a skill that you have to develop, right? So after this, it's something that you need to start thinking about, okay? Now, remember we said you have to balance the fact that you have technology, that you have the internet does not mean all of life is the internet. In fact, as a human being, the internet should just be a tool, like a calculator, right? A majority of your life should be spent as much as is possible with other human beings, so that you don't end up thinking and talking like a robot, thinking and talking like a machine rather than a human being. And many of us are like that without knowing. A lot of people that just behave anyhow on the internet, they are behaving like robots. They're not behaving like human beings. They don't have any empathy anymore. They don't have relational skills anymore. Okay, so you must divorce yourself. You see that you must intentionally wean yourself out from just screen time. Okay, so now I want to give us an idea of what days should be like. So meet Alex. Right? It was a sunny morning in August, and Alex, a 21-year-old immigrant student, college student in Toronto, woke up in his apartment near the university campus with a major in environmental science and a passion for adventure. He looked forward to exploring new opportunities. At 8 a.m., Alex's alarm beeped, and he jumped out of bed with enthusiasm. He spent 30 minutes reading his Bible and praying because he had come to realize the importance of spiritual strength. After his devotion, he quickly got dressed in his outdoor gear, excited for the hiking trip he had planned with his friends later in the day. After a light breakfast, Alex packed his backpack with snacks, water, and a camera. He checked the weather forecast on his phone. He uses his phone, ensuring it was the perfect day for the hike. At 9 a.m., Alex met with his friends at the trailhead of a nearby national park. They embarked on a challenging hike, immersing themselves in nature and capturing breathtaking views on their cameras. At the peak of the hike, Alex and his friends enjoyed a picnic lunch, sitting amidst the picturesque landscape. They shared stories, laughter, and dreams of future adventures. At 2:30 p.m., after the hike, Alex returned home, feeling energized and grateful for the outdoors. He posted some of the photos from the trip on his nature photography blog, showcasing his love for the environment. At 4 p.m. in the afternoon, Alex attended a volunteer meeting with a local environmental conservation group. He was actively involved in initiatives to protect natural habitats and raise awareness about sustainability. After the meeting, Alex prepared a hearty dinner. He was committed to living a sustainable lifestyle and reducing his carbon footprint. And reducing his carbon footprint was an essential part of his daily routine. At 7:30 p.m., Alex headed to a nearby coffee shop to meet a group of friends for a poetry reading event. He had a talent for writing and loved sharing his poetry with others. During the poetry reading, Alex performed some of his pieces, capturing the audience's attention with his expressive words and unique perspectives. After the event, Alex walked back to his apartment, feeling content and inspired. He enjoyed spending some quiet time with his guitar, composing music that reflected his spirituality, his emotions, and experiences. Before going to bed, Alex took some time to pray, memorize some verses of scripture, meditate, focusing on gratitude and his aspirations for the future. Alex previously had an internet addiction like Ethan and many of his friends, but he attended the CIS seminar last year, got help from various facilitators, and now has a different lifestyle. In conclusion, the internet is a double-edged sword that offers incredible opportunities, but also challenges. As young people, you have the potential to shape the digital landscape and create a better future for all. Let's be responsible digital citizens, use technology to uplift one another, and work together to build an online world that reflects our values and aspirations. Thank you very much for listening to me. It's good. It's been really wonderful speaking to you, and God bless you. So can we have any questions quickly if there's time for it? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, would like to know if there are any questions from the physical class. There are no questions online, so if there are any questions. Thank you so much, sir. We really enjoyed your session. You spoke to us about how we could use technology to impact our world positively, and then we should not act like robots. And how can we not act like robots? By making by making positive impact using technology. Thank you so much, sir. So can we have questions, please? So while we are trying to think of questions, don't forget to use the barcode to scan and scan the barcode, and then let's have your reviews. It's like a survey for us to have your feedback. Let's know how we can improve, make the program better, and all of that. Don't also forget to use the hashtags so that we can trend on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook, just as Mr. Enoch has told us to use technology positively. This is your own little way of using technology positively. So please use the hashtags CIES capacity development, hashtag CIES capacity development. Very simple. Make us trend online. All right. So do we have questions before Mr. Enoch takes his leave? I don't think there are any questions, sir. Your mic is off, sir.
Thank you very much. Grateful for the opportunity to speak to you. Remember what we said, how to use ChatGPT. Go and find out after this seminar. Find out how to, and if you have an internet addiction, speak to someone today. Make sure, do not forget to speak to someone today so that you can begin to change and become like Alex instead of being like Ethan. Thank you very much. It's been great speaking with you. Thank you.